Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am so excited. I've been waiting to share with all of you. This is my best friend here with me. He's going to join me.
I'm the best friend. I'm the best friend.
We like do everything together, but this is I'm going to be sharing, and he's just here to just be my best friend and be my partner here. But I'm going to give everyone kind of a minute to log on. I have been contacted by people literally from all over the nation. I mean, like Arkansas, Michigan, Illinois, North Carolina, Louisiana. I mean, just all
overseas
up and down.
too, Africa.
Yeah, oh yeah. And so this is going to be great, and I'm excited. One thing I want to remind you is to share the video. I know a bunch of you have been sharing it on your Facebook and our little memes and posts and videos that we've done. Thank you for sharing with everybody. We really wanted to get the word out because I just feel like this is something that is going to help people, and if there's something that Mike and I can do to help people, we are all about it. And just enjoy tonight. Just sit back, enjoy. I know I'm going to enjoy it. For whatever reason, we are in this lane. God has given us this assignment, and could be on like faith or healing or finance, whatever, but it's on sex. And but I will tell you this, there is a need. There's a need in the world, there's a need in the body of Christ for this word to go forth, and if God's called us to do it, so be it. And I couldn't be happier to do it with my best friend.
Let me share this because I'm not supposed to interrupt.
No.
First of all, greetings everybody. So glad to have you on around the world. We're letting people join in. It's 9:02. We try to give just a little bit because getting those kids down. This is adult content, as you know. So we've tried to keep our kids. I hope we're not like the guy on the news.
I have told them you don't need anything.
Olivia,
Go to the bathroom, get your snack.
Olivia said tonight, hey, maybe we can reenact that thing where the kids come in. I said, no, maybe we cannot. BBC, yeah, where the kids come in and interrupt the guy on the Law of News. We're like, no, maybe we cannot reenact that.
Not in this way.
Yeah. So yes, please share, because there's a lot of people that have heard about this and friends. And when they say find Connie M. Smith, there's like 12,000. Well, there's only one, but there's 12,000 on Facebook. So share it if you'd be so kind, so people can find it. The last thing I want to say before you get started, I'm just here for immoral support.
Immoral.
That's a thing.
It
is I don't know if you remember this. You said, why couldn't God call us on faith, healing, etc.? When you and I were courting, you and I spent time in prayer, and you had told me, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry, that you felt that you'd been called to the healing ministry, and you didn't know what that would look like.
You're going to make me cry
Yeah,
now.
well, whoever thought? Because this is not just facts and figures, stats and info. The testimonies we get are from people that woke up one morning, heard a teaching, God by His Spirit did something, and they're healed. So what we want you to expect tonight is to go away different, to leave here different, not by might nor by power, but by God's Spirit. We hope that as what comes forward tonight, you'll see Him, and when you'll see Him, you'll be changed. And we don't. People say, you guys must really enjoy sharing on your business. No, we don't. But ours is a story of His love, the story of gold salvaged from the fire. And if any of our hindsight can become your foresight, or if any of our healing can spill over to you, that's a blessing. Singles, you're welcome here. Married folks, you're welcome here. However, single folks, especially you're 19, 20, this is definitely adults only. Not 17, that's basically an adult, There are worse things to find on the internet if you deal with lust. This is going to be pretty mild, because if you want to find lustful stuff on the internet, you can find it. But you also know where you are. If you're a woman or a man that struggles, really, this may bring you out of perversion because of the sexual lies that we've been told. Or it could be a stumbling block to you. Some people don't need to go to the church fellowship at Applebee's because there's a bar there. Some people don't need to go down such and so road because they know there's a club across the right and they might pull out. We don't know your battle. Some people don't need to travel on the convention team because there's pornography on the TVs in the room. We don't know what your thing is. You be led by the Spirit of God. Certainly nothing is done here to tempt you. We want to stretch your mind to set things right. But I just want to give that to you. Baby, you're anointed of the Holy Ghost.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's start with how this all came to be. This past weekend,
a little louder. They're saying
okay.
That's probably you. I'm being quiet. You're already talking.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm excited. So, This past weekend, I was so honored to be a part of the Radical Women's Conference here in Atlanta, Georgia. Our spiritual mom, Pastor Taffy Dollar, had a conference. I was invited to speak, and I was able to share on this just radical thoughts on female sexuality. And I shared and was able to get out, a bunch of stuff, a lot dealing with my past and testimony, and really just started to dig into sexual equality. Pastor Taffy's been teaching on biblical equality and gender roles, and going in line with that, dealing with sexual equality. And that's not just, women being treated as men, or fairly in pay and all that, but dealing in the specific area of sexuality. And I have these thoughts to share, and I got through the first one and thought, okay, that's all I can get to. And I was inundated. Well, first of all, let me say, I was like, my heart was so heavy afterwards, because I believe in what I have to share so much, and I believe that people will be free by what I have to share. And it was like, I was so grieved in the sense of, I want to get this out, and I didn't know how to. And, we went to the conference the next day, and people kept saying, how can I get the points? How can I get the rest of the message? And the coordinator of the conference said, we keep getting asked, and how can they connect with you on social media? Mike and I talked. I said, if I just list these 11 points that I have, it's not going to makes sense. It's not
with no context.
Yeah, you've got to hear
story,
that. Yeah, you've got to hear. It's kind of like having a skeleton, but not having all the parts, connected to it. And so we talked, and we felt like Facebook Live would be a great way to be able to get this content to people. And my people, I know.
Every time you bang, they think they're having an earthquake. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, no earthquakes.
Save the banging. Sorry, I'm not
and
going
it starts.
I'm not going to say another thing. Nope, you told me not to be. Okay, I'm done.
Anyways. We felt like sharing this through Facebook Live would be a great way. And I believe, it's like, okay, God, why couldn't this get out? Because I feel like I really wanted, of all the things that I've been through, that Mike and I have processed through, where we've come from, I felt like being able to share the message that I shared and had prepared would be like just giving a big kick in the teeth to the devil.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like it was, stifled because it didn't get out. And I said, God, I don't want to do anything in the flesh to try to get this out. But when it kept coming back to me, that's when we wanted to share. But a few things. One, I think it's awesome to have the men be able to hear this as well. So if you have a husband, or if you're a man on here, don't feel like you have to log off. I think it is great. And if your husband's sitting there watching, whatever basketball, grab him, bring him in, let him be a part of this as well. And number two,
this will help him more than basketball, I can assure you.
Yes, he wants you to hear this message. Trust me. Number two, there were things that I was going to share and really get deep into some things. But now in this format, I feel that I have a release to be able to even dig deeper, to be able to share even more. Mike and I, when we share and talk about marriage, relationships, intimacy, sexuality, we always say this: what we have to share sometimes may seem graphic, but it's not pornographic. We're not being nasty for nasty's sake, and we get frisky, but I really feel like there are things that I may not have been able to say in that setting that I can get into.
People might have 13, 14
there
years
were.
there.
There were. A mom came to me, and
you were going to say it, but you were going to say it in a way mindful of a larger audience. But this being adults only, you can really speak to some things. So this is grateful. But did you tell them you were crowning? That you felt like the baby?
Yeah, that's what. So it was like I had this message, giving birth to this message, and it was like I was getting it out, just as if you're delivering a baby, and the baby got to the point of crowning, and then my time was up.
Yeah.
And it was like, but no, I've got this baby, and that baby can't stay in that crowning stage, just forever. And so now I feel like, okay, I can push this baby out. And then exhale. And so I'm excited to be able to have this opportunity. I'm glad. I said earlier, click that share button, let your friends know.
And thank you for all those that are sharing. It's good to see family and everybody on. I've never heard what you're getting ready to hear, anything like it. Hear what thus saith the Lord. I pray, men, women, mothers, fathers, if you're saying over here, what getting ready to come now, just getting ready to go, hear the Spirit of God, hear the word behind the word, hear the voice behind the word.
Okay, I have like 2 last things here. The conference that I came out of was so powerful that I've seen on Facebook, I've talked to people all this weekend, all the speakers, the whole thing, the breakout sessions, how amazing it was. And so I just want to say, don't miss out next year. 2018, they already have the dates, March 15th through 17th. Mark your calendars now because you do not want to miss it. I'm going to be there. I'm not maybe just sitting in the audience or whatever, but I'm not going to miss it because it is life-changing. So March 15th through 17th, 2018, you can register online, taffydollar.org. And then last thing is, you say, well, I missed the first part of the message, so am I even going to get anything out of it tonight? Sometimes you see a movie and you can go see the sequel, and it's like, if you didn't see the first movie or 2, don't even try to jump in, or it's a TV series, like start from the first season, episode 1. That is not how this is. And, okay, I'm going to keep pounding. That is not how this message is. You can jump right in, because right when I ended, we were turning a corner. So I've got these points. I shared point 1. I'm going to go back tonight, share point 1 again, maybe expound a little on it, and then get into the rest of the message. So those of you that were there, here's the rest of it, and then some. And those of you that are just joining us, you will be able to hop right in. And I believe in this so much. So just be open. Hear what the Spirit of God is saying, not necessarily what my voice is saying, but hear what the Spirit of God is saying. And I shared this the other night. This may be like hearing a voice, a mother's voice or a grandmother's voice, sharing with daughters or granddaughters in this area, and even now when we have men watching. And then it also, in some points, just chalk it up to me sounding like some crazy aunt, You always have that crazy aunt that's always talking about, something sexual or whatever it is, and, just look at me and just nod your head or whatever. The good news is you're in your own living room or wherever bedroom, and, if you're laughing, crying, blushing, whatever, it's in the privacy of your own home.
and people get freaked out because we're pastors, and they're all like, I can't imagine you having sex. Our 2 children prove.
We've had it twice.
At least twice. And look, it's weird for us too. We talk to this little camera, and it's, oh, we're just so free. And then we see people in the street, complete strangers, like, oh man, yeah, I really heard what you did with your old lady and how you had a breakthrough. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there are people on the other side of the camera. We deal with this like we're not ashamed, because this is something God created, and we're taking territory back from the devil. So it's like, who wants to hear about this? Nobody wants to hear about their spiritual parents or these preachers or whatever. We're not really sharing us. We're sharing a combination of 20-some years of ministry for me, 15 years of counseling other couples, and a lot of hard-bought, painful things that are gonna bless your life. So we're all grown. Let's just do it. We all know we got PPs and parts, and that sometimes they go together and stuff happens. And it was all God's idea. So let's not act like this is so awful. God came up with this, and let's line our thinking to Him, not try to fit our religious or societal thinking. And make, squeeze God's foot in our little tiny shoe.
Mm-hmm. So if it was only us that were dealing, but the painful emails that we've gotten, where people are struggling, people that have been married a long time, good people that love each other, but just can't connect in this area of sexuality. Yeah. And then the testimonies that have come forth. Mike and I have wept and rejoiced with people to hear, as we've been able to share, how their lives have been changed. And so that's what I want to do tonight. I've been made free. I want you to be made free as well. You was talking about naked and unashamed. I'm just going to say, this is where it all comes from. Genesis 2:25, it says that they were in the garden. The man and the woman were in the garden together. Yeah. And they were naked and not ashamed. Naked and not ashamed. Not the man was naked and not ashamed. Not the woman was naked. They were there together. And you say, so that means they have no clothes on? Well, yeah. But it also means that they were vulnerable. Yeah. They were intimate. They were one. And so they were in this position of vulnerability, and they were not ashamed. And that's where I want to help you get to. Maybe it's a thing that you're struggling with. As I go through this, you may see yourself in some of these things. And
the lady just said her husband stopped watching wrestling and agreed to watch this. He's gonna get
Oh,
wrestling. Whole different kind of wrestling's coming forth, brother. I promise.
Okay. Listen, Mike and I, what God has shown us and where we've been in our own marriage and everything, and I shared some of this last week, that things from my past had hindered me from being able to enjoy, to be free, to be naked and not ashamed, to share with my husband. And trust me, the one thing that changed was the Spirit of God revealed some things to us. And when that happened, everything else changed. I went to bed one way, I woke up one way and went to bed a different person. And it wasn't, man, I read some awesome book, or I got in shape, or Mike and whatever that is, it was the Spirit of God was able to share some things. And in the Bible, it talks about when they lost the axe head. And they said, we've lost the axe head. I've got to find this axe head. Well, they took the prophet there, and they said, they took the prophet, and he went to the point where it was lost.
Yeah.
He didn't go somewhere else or downriver to find it. He went back to the place it was lost. And so many couples, I think, are hurting because
they don't know where they lost it.
And I'm hoping that kind of help you direct, the Spirit of God direct you to go back and say, where did I lose this? Where did we lose this connection? Maybe it wasn't ever there, but it's not the way God would have originally intended it to be.
Yeah, and we thought, and you shared this in the women's conference, for a woman who has had as much intercourse, I think you said more Social Security numbers than you can remember, whatever it is, you would have thought, yeah, I understand sex.
I'm a sexual being. I know what this is.
And when we sat down, 2 chairs in the Holy Ghost, and realized we weren't even close, and my assumption, I said, well, tell me this. Are you a virgin? You said no. And I said, well, kind of explain it to me. And you did. And I thought, okay, well, I know what we're talking about. And, it's like we always say, just because you know what happened, you don't really know anything unless you sit down. And where we thought was great, that's the key. What we thought was great, we hadn't seen anything. And what we deal with now, I hadn't heard of in no books, I hadn't heard of in no conferences, I hadn't heard of on the streets. God himself manifests in our sexual relationship. And how can we not do but come out? Maybe we don't have your issue, but at least we can share the same God that brought us to deliverance. And like you told him in the conference, we were having sex all the time.
Yeah.
3 times a week, good sex. You were climaxing, I was climaxing. I don't even know what we were doing.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We've talked to people. We've heard. I mean, we've taught. This is not something that a couple months ago Mike and Connie started talking about sex.
No.
This is years
we've taught
and
on
years, relationships and sex itself and all of these things that we've been teaching on. So we have talked and counseled and heard from people, and we know people who go 6 months and don't have sex. We know people that, well, maybe a couple times a year. We know people that, this lady, bless her heart,
Precious couple.
love God,
Love
but
each
have
other.
gone years, 20 some
yeah.
years
Yeah.
without being intimate. That ought not to be. That is not God's best. That's not God's original intent, and it ought not be that way.
And God, if that seems normal to you, there's something wrong with the soul. That ought not be. God gave you this, and we don't want you to be stolen from. Kind of realize how much we have been stolen from, and we're not going to be stolen from anymore. And her mission is to make sure no other couple gets stolen from. So the axe said, where did we get off track? How do we end up as 2 healthy people that don't enjoy sex?
That's not.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't like to hear that. Well, just something's wrong. I didn't say you're wrong. Something's wrong somewhere.
Well, when the abnormal seems normal,
Yeah.
like you said, there's an issue in the soul. I'm not going to go through all the stuff that I shared the other day, but let me say this. Mike and I have just, we've talked to couples who say, he's got his story, she's got her story, that's in the past, we've just moved forward. I don't believe that's God's best.
No.
You have to do what you feel led or where you're at, but what we've discovered, we call it the 2 chairs in the Holy Spirit method. Mike and I talking, not just Mike and I talking, but having the Holy Spirit
Inviting
there.
God in to be that third person in that conversation, yeah.
And so that may be where you need to start. And a dear lady asked me this week, and she says, how do you start that conversation?
We're going to do a broadcast just on how to have difficult conversations. It's important.
Yep.
Yeah. 2 ladies told you, I want to talk. Or one spouse said, I want to talk. They don't want to talk. How do I get to that?
Yeah.
You got
And
to
then
start.
another, you know, how do I start?
Use your faith. Say, God, move in this situation to open up a dialogue between me and my spouse.
And I believe that he will. And the other thing, I had 2 thoughts that came to mind about be open to sharing and becoming one. And then, this was the thing, and I heard so many ladies mention, so I just, for sake of, when I got born again, I took all the stuff out of my past.
Yeah.
I came to the cross, I got born again, the blood of Jesus cleansed me, and I took all that mess and all that garbage and put it in a box, packed it up, put it away. That's in the past. I don't need to deal with that. But that's what I thought. I know I'm the righteousness of God. I know I'm forgiven. I know I'm a new creature. And then I met Mike, and we started talking, and I realized I had to go back and open those boxes back up. And those were tough things to do.
I realized I made a mistake with my wife because she told me where she had been. It hurt so bad. Because when you love a person, it rearranges. Sex, you know, if she was just somebody I was lusting after in a magazine, I wouldn't have cared what she had been through, how she'd been abused, what happened to her, what she traded of her soul. What do I care? You're an object of my lust. But when you're an object of my love, there's a covering aspect to love. There's a yearning aspect to love. And I made a well-intended decision, but it was not the right one. I said, you know what? If God delivered you from that, if God covered you, it's none of my business. I don't need to forgive you. God's forgiven you. You're not that person. Go on. But you know the problem? That's all true, and it's all religious, and it's all real. But it didn't allow me to know her. Saying that's in the past, and she said, hey, here's what I did, here's what I was into. I was running drugs from old Mexico, and I had a drug dealer boyfriend that, you know, used me to pay for drugs, or I was ran a brothel, or I was I had a sex change, or I'm HIV positive, whatever it is she had to tell me. I said, okay, who am I? It's none of my business. That's between you and God. If you're a new creature, go on. That's fine. And we buried it, and she brought out the box. She said, here it is. It's labeled ugly. You don't want to know. I said, I don't want to know. It's enough just to know there's a box. Let's move on. But I didn't connect with her soul. I never knew who she was. It was like there was a cone that said, don't even go over there. And we just left it that way for more than a decade. And the courage it takes to reach down in that mud and to risk what might come up when she brought it up, or might come up out of my hands when I brought it up, that was scary. But we would rather deal with the scars of true connection than a smooth complexion that was all based on assumption and lies. And man, when we sat down and I said, well, what about this? She said, that never happened. How do I? And it wasn't that I was discovering all this bad stuff that had gone on. I was discovering who she was, what she was thinking, why she was there, what happened, what does she feel? It wasn't, let me find out and judge you and condemn you. That's between her and the Father. But to know your journey, and for you to be able to have the one person on the planet that you can just lay it all down, and they cover you in human form like God covered you in the Spirit, whew. And it wasn't easy. Climbing up that mountain, I wanted to give up. She drugged me, said, let's keep climbing. She wanted to give up, I drug her, let's keep climbing. One day, we both collapsed and wept. And it was like the angels themselves came and ministered to us and gave us, and lifted us up off the bed. And like she said Thursday night, we're so high up on the mountain, the view is so pretty, but we didn't stop climbing. You better preach.
I know. I don't know how far we'll get. If I don't finish tonight, we'll come back, but I want to get this out. So.
Do it, baby. Push,
okay.
baby, push.
My radical thought number 1. You cannot enjoy great married sex without an unencumbered soul. You're never going to be able to fully enjoy God's original intent and best for your marriage in the regards of sex if you have a covered soul and you're all encumbered. What do you mean encumbered? First of all, if you are physiologically, psychologically whole,
within the range of normal.
Yeah. We know people that have dealt with, physical issues or things from past, abuse or whatever. Those are things that, you may have to process through, deal with, counsel through, all of those things.
Therapy, whatever, yeah.
But listen, you should be enjoying sex. as a woman,
Yeah.
you should be enjoying sex. And I want to break some of these myths that we've been lied to about and everything. You should be enjoying sex. See, I realized that it was all these external things that were holding me back. Now, like he said, we were having sex. I thought I was enjoying it. I wasn't dreading it. I also realized that a lot of, just going through the motions, and I've even taught on this, going through the motions, marital duty, okay, I know, we would have sex a couple times a week and it's been 2 or 3 days, I better kind of let him know that I'm interested in doing something tonight. But a husband doesn't want a wife who is only doing this out of duty. He wants someone who's excited. And I realized that I was so covered with shame, guilt, regret, all of these things from my past that was covering my soul. I didn't even realize my real story and how I had gotten there, and I shared some of that last week, so I won't get into that. But you do not need to lose weight to enjoy sex.
Hear this.
You don't need to get your to-do list done to enjoy sex. So many times women say, well, if I get everything done, the kids down, the laundry done, the dishes put away, the bills paid, whatever, then I'll be able to enjoy. That's your soul being encumbered. But those are external things. Those things shouldn't even matter or, be an issue. You don't need to have your finances in order, to enjoy sex. Too many to make sure you have enough steaks in the freezer. But I'm saying these things should not be hindering you. And I realized I was covered. It was like 2x4s and sheet metal and all this stuff over my soul. So much so, and it was so interesting because a lady had written me this, that, you'll remember this,
Oh, yeah.
the lights had to be, if I was laying on the bed and the lights were too bright in my eyes, Mike, you got to adjust the lights.
Yeah, turn
the
the ceiling light off, turn the lamp on. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, baby. And so we would stop in the middle, and I'd go turn the ceiling light on.
And the
Are you
temperature.
hot? She said, are you hot?
Turn the fan on. Turn the fan off.
Yeah.
Is the door locked? It was like all of these things. The ceiling need painting. Whatever it was. All of these external things. Because I wasn't engaged. But I will tell you, if you are engaged and unencumbered,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I don't advocate having sex around children. But my point is, I really don't advocate. But my point is, I honestly think that we could probably count on one hand the first decade of our marriage, how many times we had sex outside of a bedroom.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Oh, yeah, one hand. Yeah.
Or got frisky about, because everything was like...
Where passion took over.
That's it.
That was a thing where reason and caution were thrown to the side and passion took over, which was part of my anger.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yeah, this is huge.
The single life that you lived, where you told me I was just being stupid, I was grieved that other people got your stupidity, your throw caution to the wind, and then you get with me and it's all, everything's got to be right. Well, when you were with Bubba, TJ, DJ, and LJ, and Fred or whatever, why didn't it have to be right then? Well, I was young, I was this, I was that. And I kept thinking, logically, well, you told me you like sex, you told me you enjoy blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, so you were totally passionate. You didn't care where you were, how you had just met someone, blah, blah, blah. And yet now you're saved, you're with your husband, it's completely legal. And if the whole world isn't balanced on a needle, you just can't get there. And first of all, I was wrong about what happened to you in the past.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I didn't understand. Number two, you were covered and didn't even know you were covered.
Yep.
And there are so many people that are like, I'm overweight, so I don't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I got small breasts, so I don't feel it. My room's a mess. I got the laundry, so I don't feel it. That's all symptoms of a covered soul. Because when the soul's uncovered, man, bump laundry, bump where we are, how long it's been, what time it is. And that's what they say. They say men can have sex anywhere. They don't care. If they just had it, they just had it. If they just got off work, if they just had a fight, they have sex. But women are not like that.
Baloney.
Thank you. It begins with B. Thank you. That's a lie. It's the covered soul of a woman that doesn't let her be what Genesis 2 made her to be. I have to leave.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. You are 100% a sexual being. Females, hear me. Single, married, you are 100% a sexual being. It doesn't matter what the scale says. It doesn't matter what your bra size is. It doesn't matter you know, you're past you are 100% a sexual being. Embrace that. Believe that. See that about yourself. When you can see that about yourself, you're going to see the whole world different. That's what happened to me. That's
what happened. Let me say this. Don't forget what happened to you, because this is powerful. Just remember. If we were on Maury, we said we tested. You're an A cup breast size, and the results are back, and you are 100% sexual being. We tested. You said you're 100 pounds overweight since you've had your kid, and you got stretch marks. We did the reports. Guess what? You're still 100% a sexual being. So we tell men, you have a 4-inch penis when it's erect, and they say, yeah. Let me tell you, 4-inch penis, you're still 100% a sexual being. But the soul gets clouded and feels like overweight, big breasts, big gut, small gut, stretch mark, a little loose after children, blah, blah, blah. I therefore am not. It has nothing to do with your body. Your body is wired to respond. God made it that way. It's all the clutter and garbage in your soul. And this is what you say the miracle of God in your life was.
Yeah.
You didn't lose 40 pounds, get in the gym, start doing CrossFit, and get a boob job, and all of a sudden say, oh, I see myself different. God, this was in a day. In a day, something happened. Same thing happened to that lady from Africa. Go ahead, sir.
So Mike always has complimented me. Mike has always told me I'm beautiful. Mike has always. So it wasn't like, well, now all of a sudden he starts telling me this. Oh, I'm starting to believe it. Something changed, and I started to believe it about myself. I looked in the mirror differently at myself. I realized, you know, and maybe I was going to say maybe this is too much or whatever. No, I'm saying, but there's something about looking at yourself in the mirror and admiring what you see. I was never big on going and getting, you know, bra and panty sets and all that stuff. And now I see myself and it's, wow, when I can see myself as a sexual being, I want to look pretty. I want to. It's not getting the bra and panty set to make myself feel beautiful. It's when in the internal, I see myself as a sexual being. Then I can express it and demonstrate it externally.
Yeah, Connie, you have a nice backside. Your breasts, to me, are perfect. People have big ones, people have small ones. I like yours. I always say some boobs can tell you if your shoelace is untied. Some can tell you if the light is turned. You have breasts that can tell you, oh, the crosswalker says green. You can walk now. I thank God for that. You could not hear me because of the clutter in your soul.
That's it.
I was speaking, you couldn't hear. I'll never forget, we were out of town, we were having this talk as God was revealing to us. You got up in your undies, and no, nothing else, and it was in the morning, you said, I gotta pee, and you walked by the dresser in front of the mirror where we were standing, and you looked at yourself, and you were like, look at that. Nothing had happened to you. You hadn't lost weight. I know you don't like me to say this, but people need to know. You are significantly heavier than when we met. Whatever, it doesn't matter to me. And that's why I don't understand these guys. My wife put on 50 pounds. I can't. Man, if somebody's wife, 200 pounds, 300 pounds, she got a vagina, she got all the parts, can she party or not? I mean, what are you talking about? Men are so stupid sometimes. You have always said, I want to get back to my before Mikey weight. I want to get back to my before Olivia weight. I just want to get under this. You didn't lose a pound. You went to bed and woke up a different person. Because when those 2x4s and cement was pushed off your soul, all of a sudden you didn't disqualify yourself. I got tits, and they're nice. And
don't get ahead of myself.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay,
No. I'm just saying. And you're like, and I'm like, baby, you remember Lenny and Squeaky? I watch your butt, and that kind of thing. And now that you believe it, it's no longer a man trying to get something from you. It's, wait a minute, I'm just as much in this garden as the man is.
Yeah, I'm embracing my sexual identity. I'm embracing that I have sexual appetites as a woman. That this is not just, I'm going to do something that my husband will enjoy, but as a woman, this is something for me to partake of and enjoy. God gave both the man and the woman. Ephesians talks about satisfying the sexual needs.
Corinthians,
yeah. 1 Corinthians. It says in New Living, husband should fulfill his wife's sexual needs. So that right there is telling you that they're sexual needs. And later on it says, do not deprive each other of sexual relations. That means I have appetites and desires as a female. As a married woman, I have sexual appetites that he...
Even as a single?
As a
female.
A female.
Single or married.
So I have sexual... So singles and married people have to realize that you embrace yourself as a sexual being, that you identify that there are sexual appetites. Now, as a single person, we submit those unto God. I'll get a little more into that. And then, as a married person, embrace that mutuality. Embrace the ability to express and voice your needs and desires in the marriage bed.
We spend so much time in ministry telling men, single men, how to curb their sexual desires. Do you know why we don't tell women that? Because women are the sexual side of women is buried in our society, that it's a man thing, not a woman thing. So when single people, somebody says, are you going to encourage women to be sexual and to start having sex? No, Connie wants to, we want to start treating you like an equal. We want to stop saying, now man, we know you really battle sexual things that you got to ask the Holy Spirit to help you. But women, we know that's not really you. You're more about flowers and cards. That's the kind of crap that's led to the misogyny and the inequality that we have now. So men get trained they're lustful animals. Women get trained, well, that's not really us, and they marry like that, and then they end up on our counseling couch, because the truth is, a single woman and a single man should both have to say, hey, I got these things that God gave me. I need to submit them to the Holy Spirit until I'm allowed to express them. But it's almost like we treat women like that would never be an issue. And if you do have that, there's something weird about you. That's Satan himself.
Yes. So don't be subject to what the societal norms tell you as a woman, that how you should be sexually. And so we've got to keep moving
this is
on.
Perfect
Yes,
segue.
this is. Okay, so when you have an unencumbered soul, when you are sexually engaged, your passion will be unbridled. You will be free. You will, when can I get next to this man again?
Not you.
No, when can I get you with your husband? Your mind is going to be free. And Mike used to always tell me this, and then we're going to move on to number 2, or we'll never get done with this.
Baby, they keep making face palms. Flow of the Holy Ghost.
So Mike used to always tell me that it starts, and I've taught this, that it starts in the mind. Yeah. That you have to wake up thinking, it's not, well, by the time I get through my day and get around to 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, let me switch on the sexual switch in my mind. You have to be, to take initiative and to take interest and to have sexual desires and have thoughts and have, thinking about when Mike and I are able to get together. And so you would tell me these things, and I just couldn't connect. It was like...
But I was wrong. I was wrong. I was telling you... I remember I tell you, I said, Connie, and you're a master of lists. You're a spectrum guardian setter. You'd have lists. I say, did you get everything done on your to-do list today? And you said, no, I was supposed to pay this. I was supposed to order a replacement card for your Amex that expired. I was supposed to call so-and-so. I didn't. And I would say, it's interesting how sex sometimes gets left off of your to-do list. Why don't we let something other than sex, since you're okay getting it left off? But I was speaking from my misogynistic male-defined world. I didn't realize she didn't need to be reminded. See, the encumbered soul has to be reminded not to let this sexual part slip. And so we would teach people, make sure you think about it. Wives, don't wait till the last minute. But that's all backwards, because when you're free, ain't nobody got to remind you.
Yeah, I've got another 1 or 2. Okay, we're going to go on to number 2.
Just do it, yeah, just do it.
Okay, sexuality is as central to femininity as it is to masculinity. Sexuality is essential. Sexuality is not a masculine trait.
Right.
It's not, and women are an afterthought. No one has the corner on the market, nor male, not male nor female, on sexuality. Right. And so we have to redefine and re-establish sexuality. That it's not a masculine thing. That's what society tries to tell us. But let's go back to before the fall and before what God's original intent was.
Say this too. This is powerful in your notes. Sorry.
Okay. So nobody has a market on this?
Corner.
Or corner on the market, sorry. And if one did, let me tell you, it would be the female.
Yeah.
The female would have the edge. And I'm going to get into why, in a little bit here as I get through these points. But the female, it's always been told that it's the man that's a sexual being.
Yeah.
But that is not true. Society wants us to believe that's a masculine thing, and that if a woman has sexual needs, A, that something's wrong with her, B, that she needs to get those desires and everything under control. But that is not true. As a female, I have sexual appetites and desires. And when, again, going back to when you're not encumbered and when you're engaged, you will be able to feel those things. So sexual desire is not a male thing. We live in a society where female sexuality is an afterthought.
Yeah.
It's like men have built this sexual world. Men have defined it, men have created it, and then they say, hey, women, why don't you come be a part of this?
Yeah, we invited them in.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
we define what sex is, and then we said, you ought to enter our sex world.
And so, in God's mind, women are not a sexual afterthought. Feminine sexual identity is not an afterthought. Going back to Genesis 2:25, it was them together, both of them.
And we invited women in and then gave them their role. We said, you're going to be what gets pursued. You're going to be the lay there and be conquered. You're going to be the dance to our tune. So we built it, defined it, dominated media, dominated the pulpit, the preaching, the books, and then told women, just enter their world and you may enjoy their world. That is not the way God did it.
So from the garden, it had always been both male and female, and that married sex is a gift, not to the man.
Yeah.
Not even just to the woman,
Boy,
but to
good.
both of you. Married sex is a gift to both of you. If you are a wife and you are not embracing this gift that God has given you, separate from what your husband's desires are, it's backwards. We need to fix this.
Yeah, not separate from like go out.
No.
But like it's not that I have to be horny and therefore you cooperate. You have the right, even if I'm not there.
I didn't mean separately.
Yeah, you can do that separately. You understand
the point is that just because he has sexual desires, and it should not be, I'm going to take care of his sexual desires. He's a sexual being, so I'm going to play a part in his world. No, as a female,
and guys, you can relate to this. Connie would say to me, well, it's late. I know we're tired. This is before she had this revelation. She said, but I want to make sure I take care of you. It's important I take care of my husband. A husband doesn't want to be taken care of. That's the fallen version. Now, he doesn't want to be neglected. So if the 30-fold is don't neglect me, the 60-fold is, well, make sure I'm taken care of. But the 100-fold is not, oh, I got to make sure my husband's taken care of sexually. That's not where the breakthrough is. The breakthrough is when she sees that I got to make sure she's taken care of sexually. When she's like, excuse me, you're the only authorized outlet for me to get my rocks off, and so God has sent you into my life to make sure that I am continually sexually tired. Wait a minute, what? You mean I'm not the earth and you satellite around me sexually? You mean we're both that equal? And so, guys, I hear people hurting, and you think you're doing right. I make sure he's, every time a little guy's standing at attention, I make sure to put him back to bed. I'm a good, dutiful woman. That's awesome. That's better than neglecting him. I know some women that are offended. Man, I'm
rolling their eyes every time he makes them
look at you hard again like you're a little kid. What? So God built him that way, and guess the problem is God built you that way. He should be saying to you, oh my God, are you wet? Are you horny again? I mean, you should be coming up to him and saying, put your hands down in front of my panties. What? Just feel that. Are you horny again? We are getting ready to go to church. I know. What are we going to do? Somebody say, oh, that's gross. That's gross. Who told you that? Because if a man whispers in your ear at a funeral after party, that's the repast, and he says, just so you know, you look hot in that dress. Oh my God, that's so inappropriate. Believe it or not, he's sexual 24 hours a day. Yeah, that's how men are. Bull. That's how God created man and woman, and then society laid all that stuff on them.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to close out number 2 here. Let me say these last things. It's books. Books are so many books out there about a Christian wife and how to take care of her husband. That they should do this and make sure you please him and satisfy his needs. But to say as a wife, you have needs and you should have those. It's backwards. We don't need to only just cooperate in this man's sexual world. We are a part. We have a role. We have a place at it, and we need to take our place at the table. And then finally, it's so stereotypical. How many times have you heard that it's the wife, I'm too tired for sex, or he's got that look in his eye, or oh, I have a headache tonight. That's always been the woman.
They lay it on the woman.
Yeah.
Because men said if there's a problem, it's with her. Yeah.
Okay, we've got to go on. Thought number 3.
This is so good.
Enjoying sex a lot, women, hear me, enjoying sex a lot does not make you does not mean you are acting like a man. If you like sex, that does not mean you're acting like a man. So many times women get labeled as she's just being manly, or that's not what a woman should feel like. Men have appetites. This is a myth. Men have appetites and women have obligations.
That's what we teach. That's what pulpits teach.
Men have needs and women have responsibilities. A man has a sexual need, and it's the responsibility as his wife to take care of those needs. That is baloney, as we say. That is baloney.
Keep it safe, sister.
So we have to stop saying that men have appetites
and repeating a lie,
and women have obligations,
and reinforcing a lie. Yeah,
and that men have needs and women, it's their responsibility. I told you in 1 Corinthians, it was talking about how Paul said that we have sexual appetites. I love peanut butter. For whatever reason, I love peanut butter. I love mint chocolate chip ice cream. I love pretzels. I love all of those things. And Mike never has to remind me and say, hey, did you have some pretzels today?
Just so you know, it's been a couple days since you've had pretzels.
Yeah. I see that, I'm pounding again here. I see that the ice cream's still sitting there. You haven't had ice cream in a while. Are you sure, No, we don't have to be reminded of an appetite or desire we have.
That's it.
And when we realize as women that we have appetites and desires, and that we allow ourselves to know and have the freedom to have those appetites and desires, and that is not a masculine trait, or that we're not looked down upon. So that men and women both have appetites. Okay, let me.
When we do diet, and I have more weight to lose than you do. You don't need to lose any weight, but whatever. I know you think you do, but I'm saying, Con, I want to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to eat this and this. Here you come, bringing a bag of pretzels to the bed. And I'm like, what are you doing? I know, it's just for me. I know I'm supposed to, but I'm like, Connie, I don't care. You gain 100 pounds. It doesn't bother me. I mean, if you're happy and healthy, what do I care? But your desires kind of go on independent of what I'm trying to do. I read a thing one time, men think they like sex until they meet a woman who likes sex, and it changes things. There are times where I'm saying, you're like, we have sex in the morning, I'm up working or whatever, and you're like, well, the kids are working, and I'm like, what are you doing? And you're like, well, I just thought we could do, and I'm like, okay, we can, but now you want to do that thing tonight? Are we gonna, And it's like I'm now budgeting, like instead of budgeting calories, I'm budgeting, sex. I don't have it. You have a debit card that you just keep swiping. I got to check my balance to make sure, that I'm 43. 3-4 times, a day. Maybe we get to 5, but I'm really, it's, and you're like, oh, okay. But that is a woman that's connected. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be told, hey, I'm over here. You want pretzels, you want peanut butter, you want ice cream, and you want sex. Yeah. And that doesn't mean, what'd you say? That you're masculine, that you're acting like a man. Mm-hmm. But we think that's what a man thinks like.
Okay, let me speak this to singles. Single men and women both need to submit the expression of their sexuality unto God. You are a sexual being, even if you're single, but you need to submit that to Him. And we have to get past, this is, again, another myth. We have to get past that it's women that are lonely and men battle horniness, or, just all these sexual desires and lust. That it's women that battle. But let me say this, in truth, both men and women can battle loneliness. And both men and women can battle lust or sexual thoughts. That it's not a female trait that is, they battle loneliness, and it's a male thing to have sexual desire. But it can be both. You have to get to the point, and even as a married person, listen to me, you have to get to the point where you say, Jesus, you're Lord over my sexuality. You're Lord over my sexuality. What does that mean? First of all, we know if you're married, no sex outside of marriage. If you're single, that means waiting until you're married. That even means not engaging other people in your mind, not bringing other people into the garden, as we've talked about. That it's it's me and him alone in the garden. It's you and your spouse alone in the garden. So not bringing anybody else, not having sex outside of marriage, no lustful thoughts. You've got to, maintain control over your thoughts, and then also no porn. Mike and I cannot bring porn into our marriage. Mike and I cannot have sexual desires and thoughts and everything that, that we're feeding from externally, and then try to connect as husband and wife. And even as a single person, it's very, very important. You may say, I don't know if this has any effect necessarily. Let me tell you, if you're single, it's going to affect you down the road. That's something, Mike, I talked about this. Mike was a virgin. I was not. But Mike, things that he was exposed to at a very young age, dealing with porn and everything, affected him, shaped some thoughts and ideas of sexuality. And so it's very important. So I didn't know
No,
if
it
you
just
were gonna say
creates
something.
battles down the road, yeah.
Okay, so let me say this, and because I'm at home and not having to face you eye to eye, I'll say this. Especially for single people, what do you say about masturbation? And this, even for married people, what do you say about
And you don't
masturbation?
mean face you eye to eye from shame.
Oh, no, not at all. No,
It's just
no.
maybe you can't talk about this in a with kids around or whatever, with adults. Okay,
No,
go ahead.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So, what about masturbation? Well, if you can have those three things that I just mentioned, where there's no sex outside of marriage, that you're not bringing lustful thoughts into your marriage, or into your mind, and no pornography, and you say, I feel like I have these sexual desires, what do I do? My answer to you is take them to God, submit them to God, and you, between you and God, you have to say, okay, I'm not bringing lustful thoughts into here, but I am a sexual being. I'm not bringing pornography, but I am a sexual being. And we've talked to, and I think we
I'm
said
not
we're
fornicating.
No, but I think we've talked about we want to do a teaching on masturbation
We do
because
for
so
singles
many
and for married people.
because so many people battle this, and they say, what do I do with this? Again, you have to submit your sexuality unto God and be led.
And we've dealt with widows and widowers who had opened up in the context of marriage, sex, sexual desire, etc. A husband, a wife passed, and then they were like, what happened? The door is open. And it's so easy religiously to say, well, sorry, sister, sorry, brother, the door's locked down. And then the single people who say, okay, I'm not going out fornicating. I'm not looking at porn. I don't think about people and all that other kind of stuff. But this masturbation gives me a release. Well, where are you at with the Holy Spirit? What does the Holy Spirit say about that? I can't find in Scripture where it says don't do it. There's a lot of things Scripture doesn't say yes or no on. It says be led by the Spirit. Where are you at? And somebody say, oh my gosh, you're going to give people a license to masturbate. People are masturbating without a license already. But what I'm trying to do is deprive the enemy of shame. And so when you say that, I tell you what is not of God, clear in Scripture, lustful thoughts about other people. That's not of God. I'll tell you what is not of God is looking at lustful images and fixating on them. That's not of God. Sex with somebody you're not married to, that's not of God. But I don't want to say, and therefore the fourth thing, touching yourself in a pleasurable way is not of God. I don't know. I know people that have married into their 40s and 50s and 60s. Their spouse passed. Women own a vibrator, and they use it at night. I know women that masturbate thinking about their husband that has passed. And because, you know, that's where they channel those thoughts. There are some people that say, God, I submit this to you. I really struggle with it. And God, you're Lord of my sexual desires. And said, I've never had it again. And I stopped masturbating entirely. We're not telling you what to do or not to do. We're just saying that at some point you have to know what Scripture clearly forbids: lustful thoughts, fornication, looking at lustful images. That is clear. But then is it possible for a Christian to not engage in any of those things, but to, you know, play with them, their parts or whatever, and have a climax and say, even in prayer, God, I bring this to you?
That's what I was going to say. We've taught that where could God be invited
and
into
say,
your
oh my
life?
gosh, you can't ask God about something gross and sexual. See, if that's your core belief that sexuality is gross and that God didn't invent it, that's your core thing. But if you say, God, here is my here's where I'm at, here's where I'm battling, and God, I thank you that I'm the righteousness of God, I'm your son, your daughter, no matter what. And God, I need you to direct me. Take this desire away. Because I've discovered you can get delivered from the carnal, but it's hard to get delivered from the natural. As a matter of fact, God didn't say, if you're having these lustful desires, just fast and pray and they'll go away. He says, go ahead and get married. Because He didn't say, well, just get somebody to lay hands on you and you won't have those sexual desires anymore. See, we try to teach things extra scripturally. So could masturbation, that physical release, be a blessing in the single Christian's life? I don't know. Ask the Holy Spirit. Can you pray before, during, and after? Connie and I can pray and invite the Spirit of God into our marriage bed because God says it's honorable and it's a blessing. You know, interestingly enough, with all the sex you had before you got saved, you never masturbated after you got saved.
No,
I think even in your single life, maybe one time, I was different. I was exposed to porn as a young child and really dealt with that. After I got saved, I would, really wrestle with it at the beginning, 16 years old, and I've taught on some of this. And then after I got saved and understood I was the righteousness of God, I went like 2 or 3 years of 19, 20 and never had any problem. And then it's like it went through a weird season where it came back, and it's like once a month I would, just find myself in, the shame and the condemnation. And that's a thing that, so that was the thing. You had all that intercourse, But lust was
But
not
I was gonna
driving
say,
you.
lust
Wasn't
was- I
your
didn't
thing.
have
But to me,
flesh
I was a
appetites.
virgin, but lust because of things I had opened. So sometimes we say, well, I'm not looking at porn, but it's the shadow of stuff you've exposed yourself to in the past. You got to peel back and say, God, what's driving me? And you say, well, I didn't look at any porn today, but if you're still thinking of something you saw from 5th grade, or if I didn't look at any porn today, but you're still imagining your girl Susie from when you were a freshman in college, that's all lustful thoughts and it's not of God. But if you say, God, what does the psalmist say? Search me, O Lord, and know my heart. See if there's any unclean way in me and lead me in the way everlasting. God, open my heart up and my soul and show that to me, and then God, I submit this to you. So go with that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Got it? Okay. Thought number 4. Okay. We've all seen this. The his needs, her needs list. And let me say this. Those his need, her needs list, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, are just a drastic oversimplification of what the truth is. And we've all seen these. What is it that a man needs? Here, we've got them right here. We're going to try. It might be backwards, but okay.
Okay. So here, you can see them there. Can you see them, babe?
Okay. So the his needs. Number 1, and most, I'll hide behind it. Number 1, most of the list, this is just one list, but we've looked at tons of them. Sexual fulfillment seems to always end up at the top of the man's needs list. Recreational companionship. Attractive spouse, domestic support.
Which is an extension of sexual fulfillment.
Exactly.
Attractive spouse, yep.
Yep, and
domestic support.
admiration.
Admiration.
Okay, that a man needs to feel admired. So these are the things. And
We
all
know
these
it's
things
backwards.
Yeah.
We're not
So-
too technical.
So these are the things that we see in these lists. It's always somewhere, and 1 or 2 is always has to do with sex when it comes to the man. On the woman's side, number 1, affection. She wants to be loved. She wants to be, taken care of, romantic, all that. And then the next one is conversation. She wants someone who talks. And, women are conversational. That's what we keep being told. Honesty and openness, number 3. Financial commitment, number 4. Family commitment is number 5. I know they shift a little here and there, but what is lacking and missing in that list on the woman's side?
Yeah, look at that.
Is there anything dealing with sexual fulfillment, attractive spouse? Nothing. We've looked at these. We've gone down 7, 8, 9, 10. It's absent. It's completely missing. Why is that?
Yeah.
Why is it ingrained in our lives?
She's saying, see how sex is number 1. You can go through women's list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down 10, all the way down to tween. We know it's backwards. Sorry, we're not technical people. Somebody did a screenshot. You can look at it and decipher it later. And we say, well, this is what men need and women need. Nowhere in there does any of this stuff say that a woman is a sexual being. It's like, at what point on the list do you ever get where women need sex? It's like, well, they're not there. That's way down. How did we get to that place? Is that how God designed us?
Okay, so listen, when you see a list like this, you may say, well, that's what all the lists say. You have to ask yourself something here. When we see stuff that doesn't seem like God's original intent, we have to ask ourselves, especially when we're dealing with biblical equality and gender roles and such. First of all, is it even true? Is that true that sexual fulfillment is the number 1 need for a man? Mm-hmm. Is that even true?
You've got to ask.
Second of all, these statistics, you have to ask yourself, okay, so even if this is what people are responding to, that the psychologists and the, people have taken these surveys and these are the things that they're coming up with. Well, we also know that, they say, nearly half of all marriages end in divorce. We also know that they say 1 in 3 people have been sexually abused. So even if those things are true, we have to say, is that in harmony with God's original intent? So maybe that is, maybe they took the surveys and I'm not saying they're lying, but I'm saying, was that God's original intent? And then also, if that is the case, is that more in line with the fallen world that we live in and what society has created and what the fall caused? Or is it more in line with what God's intent was and what his plan is for us? So we have to ask ourselves these things. So when you look at these lists, you say, well, these are the sexual needs that a man has and a woman has. But Mike and I have talked about marital needs. So Mike and I have talked about this for years. And it's not necessarily that this is their need, but if you peel it back, it's probably their frustrations.
That's key. That's key.
So a man feels unfulfilled sexually. So many men feel unfulfilled sexually that sexual fulfillment always seems to end up at number 1 or 2. A woman feels like she's not getting the attention she needs, the
affection,
or that her husband never talks to her. So her frustration is, at the top of the list. I need my husband to open up and talk to me. I try to talk to him, and or honesty and openness, whatever those things are. So it's not necessarily need that I think we're dealing with, but a sexual frustration. Let me say this. This is a little analogy. A real estate person takes a new young couple out. They're going to go look for a house. And
hear this.
So they go looking for the house, and they say, well, we're looking for a 3-bedroom. We want to make sure it has 2 bathrooms, a nice yard. So the real estate agent says, great, no problem. So if there's asbestos, no problem. If it's full, the neighborhood's full of sexual offenders, no problem. Of course not. That's not what we're saying. But you didn't say that those were the things. That wasn't on your list.
Yeah. But
the thing is the underlying thing is when all things are equal, meaning we want a safe, we want a secure, we want a nice neighbor, safe, secure neighborhood, house, good school district, all of those things. When all those things are in place, now we can say we want the 3 bedrooms, we want the 2 baths.
So if this is what happens, we ask a man, what is the gripe you have in marriage? He says, I'm not getting enough booty, or forgive me, I'm not getting enough sex. But is that your number one need? No. These lists like this thing here, they make assumptions. They make assumptions that other things are in place in the marriage, and I know they're backwards, thank you for your grace. And then say, okay, well, all things being equal, like she said, the guy says, so you want a 3-bedroom house? Yeah, that's all you want? Well, I'd like a good school and a short commute. Okay, so you don't care about rats and gunshots. Well, no, I don't want the roof falling in. I don't want my children getting lead paint poisoning. I'm assuming that the basics are there. Her point is, sexual needs are not the number one part of a man. That's not what men want more than anything else.
It's ridiculous to think.
It's
ridiculous to think that a man would want a woman to be sexually fulfilled, but have a wife that lies to him all the time.
Yeah. So what's your number one need? Sex. So you don't care if she's honest? No, as long as she screws me, she don't have to be honest. That's silly. That's ridiculous.
And that a woman would want, affection, but then to have somebody who, I'm just trying to think now, that doesn't support.
Yeah, cheats and doesn't work.
Exactly.
It's like, well, he's sleeping with my sister-in-law, but I don't care.
So we've got to stop putting these lists. It's like sometimes these lists go up as the,
law, gospel,
this is that. So Mike and I, like I said, we've talked about this for years, and we've done numerous teachings and conferences and things like that with people, married couples, singles, whatever. So we said, let's look at this and let's really see. So we set up a survey. I believe there were 18 points on the survey, and we said, write down, list them 1 through 18. Number 1, what is it that you cannot live without in your marriage? What is the number 1 thing you can't live with, the things that we listed? Then go to number 2 out of the list, and go all the way down to 18. Maybe it's not that you can live with number 18, but in order of numeric order, and starting with number 1. And it's very interesting what we found.
Yeah, let me say this, because so you had a number 1 to 18. What's the most important? What's the least important? And we said if you don't get your 18th thing, you're at peace with it because you get your first 17 things. If you don't get the last 2 things, you're at peace with it because you got your first 16 things. If you don't get that, and we gave them out, and we've done thousands of surveys on sex, sexual behavior, singles, married, etc. It's very interesting, the results. And here's why these lists are bad. When you say the needs of a woman is affection, you don't think men like affection? How come affection isn't on this guy's list? The needs of a woman is sex. You think women don't like sex? You think men don't like conversation? Are you kidding me? Men love to talk. Well, no, men don't talk. That's not true. They talk to their buddies all the time. It's not that they don't talk. It's that they have difficulty because of society teaching us that men and women can't talk to each other. And the idea that, well, men want sex, men can take it or leave it. That's not true. Watch what happened. This is, I'm going to show them. I know you've got this pronounced. So it's going to be backwards. Just chill. So you can do it. Somebody snap a screenshot and do it. So these are the top 10. We gave 18 things. It says spiritual focus and priority, open, honest communication, trust, honor and respect, friendship, security in the relationship, financial stability and agreement, I think so, financial stability and agreement, sexual fulfillment, goals, plans, and a vision, co-parenting, support and agreement, all these things. I know it's backwards. I get it. So these are the top 10 things said, and I will show you. Can I fold the paper?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, you can explain this. This is, we took all these surveys, and these are how the wives responded. This is how the wives responded.
So a wife responds.
So the number 1 out of the whole group, The women chose what?
Is spiritual focus and priority.
Number 2 out of the whole group.
Open, honest communication. Number 3 was trust. 4, honor and respect. Goes down to number 5, friendship. Number 6, security and relationship. Number 7, financial stability and agreement. Then it gets to number 8, sexual fulfillment. Number 9, God's plans and vision. Number 10, co-parenting, support and agreement. So you say, well, yeah, number 8 is way down there. See, it's not number 1 for the women.
Women don't care about sex.
Okay.
So now, according to this, the old list, men and women are totally different. They don't think alike at all. But watch what happened when you don't ask them, where's the disagreement, but you ask them what's more important. Look how men decided. Okay. This is a blind where they did it themselves. Look at this. 1, 2, and 3 on the women's.
They're all the same 3 things. 1, 2, and 3. They're different order, but they're the same
3, 2,
items.
and 1. Men wanted, above all, trust. Number 2 thing they wanted, open and honest communication. Number 3 thing men said, spiritual focus and priority. Look, number 4, 5, and 6 are the exact same.
Yeah.
Out of all these hundreds of people surveyed, they chose number 4, honor and respect, friendship, and security in the relationship as their top thing. Men and women aren't that different. Men and women are not. Men and women are not that different. Now tell them where sex is, babe.
Okay, for the women, check this out. Number 8 was sexual fulfillment for women. And if you look, it's number 9 for men. They're very similar, 8 and 9, a couple surveys here or there. But this is the point, that nobody wants to not be able to trust their spouse above having sexual fulfillment.
And nobody put, I as long as she's hot, I don't care if I can believe a word that comes out of her mouth. That's not true. But society says men are horny dogs. Women are really just conversational and emotional. Men don't have emotions. They only think with their penises. And we preach that garbage, and all that does is squash the sexual woman down. And the truth is, men are just as emotional. How do you know? Because we're all made in the likeness and image of God. You think God made us totally different? That well, you're made in the likeness and image of God, but you like to talk. And this is that stereotypical, what is it you talk about? Women like to shop or whatever?
Women like to shop. Women like to talk. Let me tell you. I bet you this guy likes to shop more than I do. I know he talks more than I do. That doesn't make him more feminine and I'm more masculine. No, we're so much alike. The core makeup of men and women are more alike than we think. We want to have trust. We want to have companionship.
Yeah,
we want to have...
Yeah, no, read it. This is honest. Men and women both want honest communication.
Yeah.
Both want friendship. I mean, this is...
honor and respect. We both, as a woman, it's always the man wants respect.
I need respect.
Is always that.
Men need respect. Women need respect.
I want to be respected.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, we're getting... And so the point is, and men, even though... at the end of the day, they both chose sex down, and they weren't. It wasn't guys' sex head way up here. These are married women. Like you think I don't like tacos? I like sex, man. You think I don't like? I like that, but I don't want sex because we actually talked to a couple who, because of something we knew of a surgery that happened, sex got taken off the menu. They couldn't have intercourse anymore, and they're like, "You're worth more to me than that." It's our friendship. Our marriage is not what's going on with our genitals. And they were able to come up with things to still fulfill it. But it was like, oh, my number one need is sex and you can't have sex anymore? Well, then I'm out. That's ridiculous. Our number one need is this bond because we're relational beings, because we're made in the likeness and image of God who seeks relationship and love. God is love and we're that way.
Amen. Society has made us believe that sexuality is bumped up higher on the men's list than it really is. And it's bumped lower on the female sexual list or female list. And so we've got to realize, no, we're really basically the same.
Lady said, where can I send my offering? We'll be led.
Okay,
anyway,
let's keep going. Number
Seriously,
5.
Somebody will put it up there for you.
Number 5. Okay. We're going to get into some good stuff.
Okay, and listen, maybe go another 20 minutes.
Yeah,
okay?
I think I can. I might be able to knock this out. Okay.
If you just if I stay out of it.
Yeah. Don't say it. Okay. Number 5. God gave sexual pleasure a more prominent role, hear me out, in female design than male design. God gave sexual desire a more prominent role in female design than male design.
So that's your radical thought?
Yeah. What do you say? What do you mean?
Okay, because you say it again. God gave sexual what?
Pleasure.
A more what?
Prominent role.
In what?
Female design than male design.
Okay, so when he built the man's body and built the woman's body.
All the pieces and parts on a female versus on a male.
Sex plays a more prominent role. Sexual pleasure plays a more prominent in the way a woman is built versus a man.
Yeah.
Use a lie.
No.
That's not what my preachers. That's not what my preaching books told me.
Listen. There is a part on the female anatomy that is solely designed for sexual pleasure. Solely. Yes, we have reproductive systems so we can have babies and, the man, so he can put his sperm into all those things. But there is a part on the female body that does not multitask, that its only purpose, it doesn't help you have a baby, it doesn't, do anything with your cycle each month. The only reason that a clitoris is on a female's body is for sexual pleasure. Mm-hmm. Just let that sink in for a minute.
So the penis does a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Ejaculate, semen come out of there, it expels liquid waste, etc. It multitasks. But you're saying the clitoris, or we abbreviate, the clit has no other purpose. So you don't pee from it. No. You don't have your cycle from it. Mm-hmm. Babies don't come out of it. God put that on your body, not to have babies, but just to have a good time?
Yeah. And it has, let me tell you, you think, well, a penis, it has all these sexual nerve endings and this and that. Let me tell you, the clitoris has, I think they say like some 8,000, it's comparable to the male penis in the sexual nerve endings that the clitoris has.
And it's inside and outside.
It's inside and outside.
You can reach from the inside and from the outside.
And let me tell you, it's not the only. So you say, well, yeah, the clitoris does that. Oh, wait. There's all sorts of pieces and parts on a woman. There's internal, external. Let me say this. And this is one joke that Mike has said for years, and it's one of my favorite jokes. God was up in heaven. He was handing out, what's going to go with the males and what's going to go with the females. And he says, I've got peeing standing up. Who wants this trait, peeing standing up? And Adam says, I'll take that, me. And he says, okay, I'll give that to the guy. You'll be able to stand and pee standing up. And then he says, okay, I guess, Eve, that means you're going to get multiple orgasms. I love that joke. Yeah. And then he's like, no.
Why did I pick that? No.
The erogenous zones of a female's body literally are from head to toe. That we are sexual beings, and we've been told and lied to women that we're not sexual beings. But you are. There are all sorts of parts, and I've got things that I'm going to get into dealing with female anatomy. But let me tell you, men wish that they had it as good as we do.
You've heard of penis envy? I am jealous of Connie. I'll just say that. I watch her sometimes, and I'm like, if I could be you for just a day, not even a day.
For about 10 minutes, huh?
When do you ever just go 10 minutes?
Okay, I want to get all these. I think we can go in these next 15 to 17 minutes and get it. Number 6, radical thought. Men have something women should want. That there's something that men have and possess that women should want. Why is this a big deal? Why is this a radical thought? Because men from when they are very young have been told that there's something that women possess that the man wants. So, I was talking to Mike, and, I always say, Mike, I hope you're enjoying, we could be in the middle of sex.
Tell the truth.
I said, Mike, I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. Sometimes after we have sex, sometimes during sex, are you enjoying this? Because I'm really enjoying this, and I want to make sure it's important to me as your wife that you are enjoying this. And he laughs. He says, Connie, I don't think anybody enjoys it as much as you.
No. You say, are you enjoying this? And I say, first of all, you say, well, just make sure you feel good. I say, my Christian vocabulary cannot say what I feel right now. And you're like, well, I just want to make sure you're enjoying it as much as I am. And I tell you this in front of complete strangers here, I don't know of anybody that enjoys it as much as you do. And that's not. There's no shade there. No. I don't know anybody that has as good a time as you do.
So he was struggling to kind of explain to me about this, and we were on a walk, and he was telling me. He says, "Okay, let me put it this way," and he was talking. He related it to how if you had a hunting dog that was going to go hunt rabbits, what they do is they take the rabbit and they put it in the dog's face and he sniffs it so he knows what he's going after. And that's what happens to young, boys, or boys from a very young age, and older brothers, uncles, father, whatever. Society, movies, all of these things are saying, here, smell this, this is what you're after, look at this, put this. It's always billboards and movies and everything. Men grow up knowing that there is something between a woman's legs that they are after.
Yep.
And so it's very common that is how men are raised.
Yep.
And then little less common than that is sometimes a woman gets told, sweetie, you have something that men want. and you want to protect that. That message doesn't always come across to us. Some of us don't get that message. But okay, you have something, but just make sure you respect yourself and that, you protect it.
Have a standard, don't give it away. Men are told, what's between her legs? I mean, from a boy.
It's the Holy Grail. They are after this.
No one ever told me as a young man about the word vagina. I was told the word pussy. It's all about pussy. And forgive me, it's not vulgar, but I'm trying to explain to you. It's all about that. You want it. She got it. Did you get some? You were sharing on that, your teaching the other night, that Grease song.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Did you put up a fight? And then they ask her, did you give it to him? We're always trained that men get it and women give it. And I mean, from 6 years old, 12, 15-year-olds in the neighborhood would be telling me about that. And they would say, man, this is what you got to get, this is what you got to get. That's common. Some girls get told, hey, between your legs is something that guys are going to be after, and don't just give it away. Protect it. And make a guy work for it. So some girls are never told that, and they fall prey all the time to these hunting dogs that have been trained since they were young to, chase it down. And it's like, it's all about the hunt for guys because that lust is bred in them. It's not this woman is a sexual being. It's there's something between her legs that you live for. So when guys like, do you enjoy this? I'm like, I don't know if you understand what a man is. What's going on right now? This texture, this warmth, looking at your body, feeling myself inside you. I've been told to hunt this all my life, and the fact that I get it and it's attached to a body that looks like you and a person that is fun and loyal and trustworthy and loves me and accepts me. She's like, I hope you enjoy this. I can't even use the language to explain what I have right now, which is why, like 3 days later on a walk, when I was calm, I said, let me explain this to you. So men are told, get that stuff. Girls are told, hey, you got some stuff. Just be mindful, guys are after it. But here's what girls are never told.
Here's where we have sexual inequality. Women are not told, wait a second, there's something that a man has that you should want. And I'm not advocating being lustful and everything,
no.
But I'm telling you, it's never, here's the thing, this, and I'm not saying go out watch R-rated movies or that R-rated, but listen, you've seen this, or maybe you've seen this before, but it's common. People know this, that you see boys away at camp and they are spying in on the girls in the shower.
Or Revenge of the Nerds or
whatever,
yeah.
It's always the sexual scene or the sexual objects and things like that are the females, that the men are oogling and looking at the females. And I'm not saying that we should have more sex scenes with naked guys, and that's not my point. But I'm saying this is what entertainment and society has created, that men are after something that a woman has, but a woman should never think about going after something a guy has. Or not going after, but when you get married, that there's something that a guy has that you should enjoy.
This is the thing. The scene creeps in, there's 3 girls in the shower, they're all soaping their boobs and everything like that, and we're told from Hollywood and everything else, look at that. Look at that. But if you did girls in a sorority breaking in and looking at 3 guys soaping themselves up, they say that's gay. How are 3 women naked talking, just something desirable, but society says that if you look at the male body that way, and we don't think the female or the male body should be looked at,
no.
But no, you're not told, hey, little girl between those legs right there, God made it. If you could hook that up with what you got going on, that thing would blow your mind. We never tell girls that, so the man becomes the center, and the girl has to figure out how to interact in his world. That is not how God made us.
And let me say this, and we'll go on to the next one here, that this is common, that women, young girls getting ready to get married or whatever, they get pep talks on being prepared for their honeymoon.
So big.
Knowing how to, what your husband is going to want of you, and making sure you're ready, and making sure that they, are willing to give themselves as new brides to their husband. Trust me, men don't need
pep talks.
They've been trained for this thing.
She might want something, and just go along with it. Yeah. No, we're told that this is what we've been waiting for. And if a woman wants it, there's something wrong with it.
Yeah, and there's stories. I mean, it's the stereotypes and everything, that this is how it is. Mike told me he has a cousin that when she went on her honeymoon,
bless her heart,
she locked herself in the bathroom and called her mom and said, what am I supposed to do?
And the mom said, get out there and take care of your husband. That's backwards. We don't ever teach men, hey now, when she gets on there, she's going to want what you have down there, and she's going to be after it, and it's okay. You need to think women have sexual desires, they're sexual beings, and we know you like friendship and everything else, and we know you really enjoy playing racquetball with Tina or you know, Brandy or whatever, but it's more than racquetball. You have an obligation to, you know, give her what's between your legs, and to do it with a good attitude. Why are men not told that?
Yeah. We want to honor our bodies until we're married unto God, submit our things, sexuality unto God, both as males and females. But this twisted message or backwards thing, we need to stop
Perpetuating the lie.
Okay, number 7. I love this one. Number 7. Penises are not gross. Penises are not gross. Unfortunately, I've seen a few penises along the way, and I never really paid attention, never really had interest. Even when I met Mike, I knew it was part of him, but it wasn't anything that I maybe say admire or, you know, thought was beautiful. But when I became unencumbered, when I became engaged, when I saw myself as a sexual being, I saw him in a whole new light. And let me tell you, it's beautiful. And what a penis can do, and all of these things, it is a beautiful thing. I've talked to wives who say, I can't stand touching it or, you know, being around it, even so much as semen. I don't like semen. I don't want any of it on me. We have to get past this. And I think it's because we've been lied to and told this is gross. They are wonderful. Penises are wonderful. They're beautiful. The male anatomy is something. And when you love a person's soul,
Yeah.
when you want to bring them, you love them as, so you want to connect with them. You know you're a sexual being, they're a sexual being. It will be an extension. Their physical body will be an extension of your love of their soul.
And you'll love what's connected to
exactly.
them.
Yeah. And so loving your husband's penis is an extension of loving him. It's something that as women, we feel like, I can't say that. I'm telling you, I had a lady write me after we did the penis talk. And she said that she had told her husband this very thing.
Yeah.
And what it did for him and what it did for them. Because so many times as women, yes, of course, let me tell you this. I don't have to, if he was doing a talk, he would not have to have a talk to say, men, breasts are not gross.
Yeah. Husbands, just so you know, breasts are not gross. They're beautiful, and vaginas and the labia and the pubic hair. You just have to think, butts they're a beautiful thing. And I know sometimes we shy away from them. Why don't we ever have to tell a man to take visual notice and enjoyment in a woman's body? Because we're conditioned. But somehow men are gross, and what God invented, semen, is disgusting. Oh, it's on my leg, it's on my skin, it's awful. Whoa, slow down. God invented that. They're just ugly, they're just weird, just a penis, it's just weird. That's conditioned somewhere. God built this man, and let me tell you this too, penises have personalities, and you got to get to know, he's got a mind of his own, he's got things going on, he's always trying to get in, having innocent conversations, and he's always got something else on his mind, and I mean, you have to develop a relationship with your husband. Yeah.
And when you do, it's like, when I love what's part of him, it's not, well, I'm doing this because out of obligation or because I know my husband likes it. Of course.
Or flattery.
Yeah. But it's something that I enjoy and I get to be a part of and I get to connect with. And so I don't know if you have anything else before we go. Okay.
Well, you have more to say on the penis. You'll have to talk about that later. But go ahead.
Okay. Number 8. Breasts mean different things to a man and to a woman. Breasts mean different things to a man and a woman. To a man, breasts are nice to look at and breasts are nice to play with. For a woman, man, does it feel good to have your breast played with. There are studies that show. See, we were talking about the clitoris earlier and all the nerve endings and all the ways that a woman can be stimulated and everything. They now have studies showing that the breasts, the line that connects the clitoris to the brain is the same line that connects the breast to the brain. So the feeling that you're getting when your clitoris is stimulated and what it does in the brain and the feelings and everything that comes with that is the same thing that happens when the nipples are stimulated or the breasts are stimulated.
Because science. Yeah.
And so as women, we have to, I remember for the majority of our marriage, I thought breasts were only there for my husband. Because that's, I think, how we're conditioned in society. Men like breasts, this and that, And of course, I felt like I was inadequate when it came to breast size and everything. I didn't like my breasts. One of the first things I had told Mike
we talked about when we were dating.
Yeah.
I said, what areas are you insecure about? And she says, my breasts. I don't like them. And I was like, well, I hadn't seen them yet, but I imagine they're going to be pretty lovely. And I love those things.
I didn't have feeling in the,
I like to play with them. I like to look at them. I like to kiss them. And she liked accommodating me.
If you enjoy them and doing
Then great.
Go for it. But it wasn't doing anything for me. And when I became unencumbered, engaged, hallelujah. But I'm telling you, see, and
men,
I'm going to get...
Men, if you... she just said women do have the better end. Yeah, they do.
Yes.
If you understand, men, if you had 3 penises that could all be touched at the same time, your penis, then 2 penises coming out of your chest, that's how scientifically a woman's anatomy works. That when her nipples are stimulated, they light up, they do scans on the brain. The same area of the brain lines up with nipple stimulation as with clitoral stimulation. This is breakthrough. But a woman who doesn't feel like all of her is sexual, but this is for him, and doesn't connect that God put additional features. And we're not even getting in the perineal area and all that other stuff. God loaded this woman internally into the vaginal opening, up into, some people say there's a G-spot, some people say it's not, just the rear wings of the clitoris, etc. Doesn't matter. She's loaded. I mean, she's blessed going in and blessed coming out. I mean, the man has a very small part of nerve endings around, I was going to say the chin, the glands, etc. But a woman, I mean, across her body is this. And ladies, you got to know, say, wait a minute, I don't feel that. Then you need to renew your mind and say, God, move any furniture, anything that's covering my soul. Because to have your clitoris stimulated and your husband stimulating your nipples, 3 clitorises going on,
Hallelujah.
Okay.
Let me tell you this. Women, this is what I was talking about earlier. Men have nothing on us when it comes to sexuality and the way God designed us as females. See, when I realized that my breasts were not just for my husband, it's like I didn't get new breasts. I didn't, whatever.
Augmentation.
Nothing had changed. But all
and it
of
wasn't
a sudden,
because you turned 50 and everything changed. You went to bed and woke up.
And
it was that night. It was that night.
I realized and learned that my body does all sorts of things.
Whoo, tricks.
And you know where it started? When I was engaged and unencumbered. Going back to number 1, when I was engaged and unencumbered. And now, I mean, where I thought there were only certain parts of my body that could bring me sexual pleasure, I say, Mike, please do this. And it's like we have this whole repertoire of this, that. Well, what are we going to do tonight? I mean, my body is loaded. Ladies, your body, not just mine. And let me tell you, don't believe the lie. Don't believe the lie. And sit there and say, I'm not one of those women.
I'm not one of those women.
Don't
well,
believe
Cosmo
that
said only 25%. Cosmo never finds out, have they gone back to the Garden of Eden and is their soul engaged? Do they truly trust their husbands or their man or whatever? Well, only 33% of women can do. Wait. So God has just limited and said, well, you can and you can't. I would say before you disqualify yourself, sit down with your husband and find out, hey, let's go to the full measure of what God wants us to have here. I just refuse to believe that that God overlooked these parts of my body and I'm not orgasmic, etc.
The twins finally showed up to the party.
Yeah. I would always get in the shower and say, good morning, ladies. How are you? The twins got there. And thank God we've been having sex. It took us over a decade, but now the twins show up to the party and like, pick me. And man, and you say,
what time is it?
I don't know, sorry.
No.
Oh, you want to wrap up? All right, go ahead, sorry.
We got somewhere to be. Number 9. I'm telling you, this is radical.
We are wrapping up. Yeah.
Yes, we got a couple things here. 1,000 orgasms in a year. This is for females, huh? I mean,
married.
Men, yes. Married now.
Married females.
1,000 orgasms a year is not an unreasonable goal. Did she say 1,000?
Yep, 1,000.
Did she say really? And again, don't believe the lie that that's just not me. Women get stigmatized as that she might be able to orgasm, and if she can orgasm, that it might take 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes.
Lights perfect, temperature perfect, house perfect, bills perfect, money perfect, and 30 minutes of stimulation with the hand, a toy, a penis, or a tongue, and maybe, and if not, good try, Daryl. That is, you get that furniture cleared out, you get rid of that shame, you get in contact with who you are as a sexual being. 10 minutes, man, the ship has left the station. We are on a number 5. You know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, we have to demystify female orgasm. We've been told that how difficult it is. It's very easy. And to say, man, I finally achieved an orgasm. No, you should be having multiple orgasms.
Achieve is not the word you want to look for.
We don't achieve and reach. We experience and we enjoy.
Yeah.
We experience and we enjoy. Well, how do I get to 1,000? Well, let me tell you, Mike and I have sex every day. Every day? Every day. Every single day. Okay. There could be a day or two where we are exhausted and fall asleep, or of course he travels, whatever those things are. We try to connect as much as possible. But I will tell you.
We make up sex. It doesn't mean when we fight.
No,
it means we missed a day.
I was going to say, if there's a day where it was like, oh man, we fell asleep or we got tired or whatever, and you know, whatever it happened, that it did not happen, you better believe the next day could be 2 or 3. And even if we had 2 or 3 yesterday, it could today be 2 or 3, and tomorrow be 2 or 3. And then there may be a day that it just didn't fit in the schedule, but you should be having sex.
But acts of sex, 1 a day, which is
It's
average,
doable, yes.
easily. But you don't have one orgasm
No, so
per,
you say, well, that's 365. No, you should be having multiple. And let me tell you, it shows that when you reach that first orgasm.
Shoot, then they start falling like dominoes. If you got a good man, if your man's not an idiot.
And this goes to servanthood, which is probably a whole nother teaching because we've got to, this goes to servanthood.
And explain every day. What about your cycle? You can say it.
Look, I've done so good this whole thing.
So there are certain times when it's just we don't need CSI out here wondering what happened with their black light. We don't need all that.
There are things that you can use, vibrators that you can use to stimulate the clitoris and the nipples and nipple stimulation.
You can do nipple stimulation with your hands, with your mouth. You can do on certain days if it's a lighter day, etc. You could do in the shower with the shower head. You could do manual stimulation with your hands. You probably don't want to do oral during a cycle, although some people do that. Get you a small vibrator. Orgasms are wonderful with cramps and releasing oxytocin and
so it helps
whatever
with
these
all
things
that,
are. So yeah, even in that, and someone said, "What do I do with my husband?" I'm sure something can be done. Even if your lady parts are out of commission those couple of days, I'm sure. Just get creative, pray, and seek the Lord.
Okay, let me do these couple of things. Sex itself is generally defined. This is good. I know we're wrapping up, but you have to hear this. Sex is generally defined, or the end of sex, I guess, is defined by the male climax. That when the male has orgasm and climaxes, then that is when sex is done. And it should not be that way.
That's the man's world defined. Sex ends when I come.
So we have to change this. When we're talking about female sexuality and equality, this has to change. And I'm not talking about who's first and who's last and all of that. But what I'm saying is, it's like if he's climaxed, we at least have reached, or completed what we were trying to accomplish. But what about the woman? And so we have to redefine these things. And here's the thing. Why do we not have women apologizing for climaxing too quickly? Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. I couldn't
hold out. Yeah. I tried to hold out. I tried to concentrate. I was thinking about baseball. I was trying to think about laundry and not come, but I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
And now I've gotten mine.
Sorry.
So, baby, I hope you're good. Maybe tomorrow.
Yep.
That is not how this is defined. Pastors' counseling is not filled with husbands complaining about my wife just climaxes too quickly, or she won't slow down for me and consider my needs. But let me tell you, pastors and counselors' offices are completely filled with women crying out saying, my husband doesn't address my sexual needs, or we
have women that say, he comes so first, and forgive the words, I'm sorry, he comes so first, or he comes and then just like leaves me. And when he goes to sleep, I masturbate to finish mine. We have never had a counseling session where a guy says, yep, she climaxes and then just rolls over and goes to sleep, and I just have to jerk off afterwards because I feel like a piece of meat. Why? Because we're trained. The man is the earth, and everything sexually goes around him. That is not how God created it. We are not in counseling going, now listen, Tammy, slow down. Phil has needs. You hold out until and once we never have to tell a woman to slow down, because women are always seen as, why aren't you doing it? I'm trying. You take too long. When do we set the clock by when the man climaxes instead of by when the woman climaxes?
I was going to say, how ridiculous would it be if men were walking around and saying, I really enjoy having sex. I don't get a chance to orgasm, but I enjoy just the closeness that I get. But that's what women get subject to.
Yeah.
I didn't get my needs met and my desires met, but I just enjoy the closeness and what we can share and the bond we create. That's not how it is. It's backwards, and we've got to get this thing set right.
That person just brought up a myth that it's easier for a man to climax too.
No,
it's not. That's not true. We're told that. That's not true. We're told that. You see all these memes where a guy's giving oral sex to his wife, and he's turned into a skeleton down there because she's not even close. That's an unencumbered soul.
People say, well, that's what I'm told, and that must just be how.
So that must be true.
They sell themselves short.
That must be true. It's so hard for me, and honey, I know you're really trying hard. And when we first got married, we would have sex, and I was like, well, if you want me to take longer, I can. No, it's okay. I said, honey, I can hold out and tell you, no, really, I just enjoy it. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you not want to climax? And if it's like, well, golly, for a woman to climax, it's like you got to run 5 miles, pick a dump truck up, throw it over your head, then come back, then swim through alligators. We just don't have time for that tonight. When the soul is clear, and I'm not saying that Connie, well, her body started to change, her hormones started to change. I'm talking about
nothing to do with
we went to bed. This is the truth. We had sex after this conversation. It was a breakthrough conversation. I had never known her before. She had never even said these things to me. She had never admitted them or talked to anybody. She laid her burdens down. We had sex. She had an orgasm, maybe or two. I don't know, whatever. Then I had an orgasm. And typically that's where it ends. I've always made sure you were, even back when...
And if I didn't, it was only because I said...
She said, no, I'm okay tonight. As soon as I came, she was like, could we go back to doing that other thing again? Because I would like some more. I was like, who are you and what have you done to my wife? The giant boulder had been pushed off her soul. She was never the same. It wasn't, well, her lining changed and her hormones changed and the kids got out of the house.
It was in the same night of a conversation we had and went and got in the bed.
Changed.
Instantly.
So the orgasm for a female is not way off. Well, I was always told it was way off. Then you need to renew your mind, because women are sexually wondrous, but they're not a complex mystery that can't be solved. When you get in touch, it's floodgates. It's.
Yes.
She has to quit. Her body won't quit. She just has to just quit or bow up in a knot and need a chiropractor.
Let me say this last thing about orgasm. There's a problem that we've read about this and we've heard about this.
It's true.
That heterosexual women are having fewer orgasms than anybody else. What does that mean?
It's a real study.
So they say fewer than heterosexual men, fewer than gay men, fewer than lesbian women, that heterosexual women are the ones having, and I tell you, it's because our souls are encumbered and because we've been fed this baloney that it's so difficult. This is what I mean. We have to demystify the sexual or the female orgasm and not believe the lie and the myth that it's so, this thing that we're hunting for, what is that, Loch Ness Monster or something. You might get a chance to see it, if all these things happen. And we have to say that it's not, that this was not God's original intent.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of something where they say that there's this being and, maybe one day you'll be able to experience baloney. And it's, we've got to renew our minds. This was not God's original design for married couples, and women as sexual beings. We've got to say, wait a second, I've been lied to. I'm missing out. We got to keep moving. Number 10, radical.
There's two more real quick.
Yeah.
Is that all you have?
Yeah, and they're very quick. Mm-hmm. Married sex is a gift from God. If you don't believe that, you are missing out. You've been lied to. You've been brainwashed by society. But married sex is a gift from God. Let me tell you, I told Mike, sex is free.
Yeah.
Sex is fat-free.
Yes.
Sex is guilt-free. With married sex with your husband, is all of these things. It is free. You may not have money to go out to dinner. You may not have money to go to the movies. But let me tell you, you don't need any money to be able to get in the bed and have sex. We can do it basically whenever. It can be you know, I was going to say wherever, but my point is that we have to realize that this is a gift from God, and that it's been put there that it doesn't cost anything. And so the marriage bed with two naked and unashamed lovers, it's the only place in which you'll find laughing and crying and praising and maybe some, you know, Christian things beyond the Christian vocabulary, but it's all those things, because sometimes it bees like that.
Yeah, it does. One of our spiritual sons and daughters, they say it bees like that.
And sometimes it bees like that, but I'm saying it's a gift from God. When the abnormal seems normal, something is wrong. Yeah. And if you're not believing that this is a gift and something that as a woman you should be partaking in, not only partaking as a participant, but partaking and enjoying, you've been lied to.
And don't let this, I hear this by the Spirit of God, shame you. There was a dear lady that said, I turned off Mike and Connie, I stopped reading their posts because I'm not Connie and I'm not one of those people.
This is good.
And she said, but you know, I came around and said, God, if that's what I'm supposed to have, then I ask you to help me get there. These people wept as they told us how God gave them a breakthrough. You are this person. What's hard for me? We have exercises for couples on our greatmarriedlife.com site to start out touching, patient, learning. This is our passion. So don't hear this. We've had people say, I'm angry at you because I see your love and I see you talk about it and I don't have it, so I get mad at you. Don't let the devil separate you. We say what we say for hope. Say, you know what, God, do in me greater than what you've done in them. Because, man, we were messed up. We both come from sexually broken backgrounds. But look at God. This is a gift of God. All right, go ahead.
Okay, number 11, we can close out here. Meaningful and ongoing conversation is the best foreplay.
Yes.
Mike and I started a conversation 16 years ago, and we pause when we have to, you know, I have to go take the kids somewhere, he has to go to a meeting. We pause. Communication is connection. Connection breeds intimacy, and intimacy is where married sex becomes great. You have to be open, you have to be vulnerable. But if you're not connecting, if you're not talking, if you're only doing it because, well, this is what we're supposed to do, this is my best friend. This is, I love to talk to him about anything. And communication is what breeds an atmosphere of intimacy. If we're going to be able to enjoy great married sex, we've got to be able to talk about anything. Talk about tough things, talk about meaningless things, talk about things that interest me, talk about things that interest him. Yeah. This is when you're married to your best friend, your life partner. I love this person. And when you talk, it breeds intimacy, and it brings us closer moment by moment.
We've been married coming up 16 years. What is my favorite thing to do in the whole world? It is what?
Sit across from me and have a meal.
Sit across from her and have a meal. Just to sit and talk to her. It's it. It's it. We're buddies. And the sex we have comes out of that. Talk. We're going to do a broadcast on how to have difficult conversations when you can't talk. Do it. Go ahead, you wrapping up?
Yep. Women.
You need to tell them, people keep saying offer, you need to tell them the address.
Where's the PayPal thing?
Whatever you want to do. But somebody texted me and they were like, what address? So okay, go ahead.
Okay. Let me close out here and then
this
whatever.
Is powerful.
Women, we are sexual beings. And we live in a male-dominated society. And we are working on setting things right side up. So in all areas, we're wanting to go back to where God had it. That it was the male and the female. He created them equal. And we've been lied to. As women, we are sexual beings, 100% sexual beings. No matter what our size is, no matter, we are sexual beings. And that is how God intended it to be, naked and not ashamed. My prayer is that if you're single, let me tell you a few things here and I'll close out. First of all, when Mike and I started talking and going through this, I dealt with so much shame and regret because of my past.
Yeah.
And I would tell him, baby, I just want to go back and be able to erase it. I want to go back and take it out. I know I hate it. I know you hate it. And I would get to this point where I was putting all this energy into, man, if I could just get a time machine and go back, and all these ridiculous things that were never even going to happen. There's no way I can go back and undo what I did in the past. And I found myself digging more and more into regret, and then realizing I'm putting all this energy into something I can't change. But something happened when I said, I'm going to take the energy because I can't change this. And this thing that is stirred up in me, it became a passion to help those who are those that are single. Maybe you're on God's path and you've said, I'm waiting until I'm married, and you've never had sex, you're a virgin. I am your biggest cheerleader. I am the one saying, keep on that path. Don't let the world pull you off. Don't let things in front of you. Don't let pressures, anything pull you off. And you say, well, I don't even know if this is worth it. Let me tell you, it is worth it. To be able to present that gift to your spouse when you get married is an awesome thing. I wish I could have given that to my husband. I wish I could. I tell him all the time, I wish when we met in 5th grade or something and went through junior high and high school and went off and eloped, and I wish I could have given that to him. And that gift he gave to me is so special. So if you are a virgin and you want to wait until you get married, and you ever think about, is this worth it? Or I don't know if I can, wait out. Hear my voice. Hear me cheering you on. Hear me telling you, you can do it. You can do it. Do it. Don't give up. You can do it.
And as a man, you're a man, even a virgin. I'm 28, I'm still a virgin. I'm 35, I'm still a virgin. And you're a man. And one day, brother, I believe God will give you the honor that comes from you only. I did not lose. I got everything. I got everything. I got an undamaged, totally whole, sexually free, loves me, worships the ground I walk on, loves me like the church loves Christ, and I love her like Christ loves the church, and the sex is incredible. And God said, I'll give you because you honored me, so that you'll come behind and no good thing. And I this is the only vagina that I'll ever touch, the only one I'll ever be in.
The rest of them have razor blades. That's what I tell them.
She always tells me, she says, I said, man, yours is sweet now. I said, that's nice in there. She says, honey, it's only mine. Take my word, all other women's vaginas have razor blades in them. They're very dangerous. Don't go near them. So I believe her. What would I know? I've only touched one, so I guess all the other ones are bad.
So I have this passion to say, do it. If you say, I'm single, and Pastor Connie or whatever, I have violated God's wisdom. I have created some chaos in my life. I feel you. I hear you. I cry with you because I've been there before. But listen, you can make a decision and say, no more. I've messed up things in the past, but you can say no more, and you can submit your body unto God. And I believe with you for restoration and wholeness, and to say, God, I'm going to wait until I get married. I'm a sexual being. I have a sexual identity, sexual appetites, but God, I submit them unto you. And I believe that God will honor you if you honor him. And then the other thing that I have a passion for is marriages. Some marriages are great and say, we hear everything you're saying and we are right on board with you, but let me tell you, the vast majority of the people that inbox us or stop us or what, they are not. They are struggling. They're saying, how come we can't connect? How come we can't resist? I'm telling you, these things, renew your mind to these points that I gave you. It's so powerful. And our heart is, God has placed in our heart a desire to see couples have what we have. I told Mike the other day, I said, Mike, I feel like we have a responsibility and a calling. Why do we share these things? Why does it matter to us? God has brought us to a point, but because my heart hurts when I hear about people who aren't experiencing this. But let me tell you, oh, do I rejoice when somebody says, we heard your broadcast, or we watched this, or we took what you said, and the sex is incredible. I'm having orgasm, whatever that is, we rejoice. And it's like, you know what it is? It's me saying, devil, you tried to keep me down. You tried to rob from me. You tried to do all of these things. And not only have I been able to look at him and shrug him off and kick him in the face, but every time I hear somebody else tell me what they have been delivered from, what God has been able to do in them, how they have gotten back to the garden before the fall, I say, devil, you're a loser. This is what happened. We got to a point, and you'll remember this. I'm going to close out, and maybe you have to close it out.
Girl, you got to preach on that. I got to take over. I'm going to take the mic from you. Go ahead.
One day, in tears, I told Mike I won.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you went too quick. all the hell, what she gave away at such a low price for no love, the violence, the abuse, what the devil told her she lost. She looked around one day and said, I got everything. I got a man who treats me like I was kept in a tower, who serves me and loves me. There's been times when the devil's beat her up and I've touched and kissed every part of her body and told her there's not a single mark left on your body. Every part of you is pure. Nothing about you is nasty. Nothing about you, And she said, I can't stand it. It makes me vomit to think. And I said, oh, no. You're not seeing it right. And she was on our bed, and you started hitting the bed and crying, I won. Mike, do you see I won? I ran, tried to get away from it. I couldn't run fast enough. And Jesus picked me up and put me in the garden with a man that treats me like I had been kept away. Nobody would ever see me, nobody would ever touch me. He loves me. He treats me not like I deserve. Not like a man would be justifying, well, you ain't nothing but a piece of trash anyway. I'm gonna treat you like the other men that used you up and threw you away. But instead treat you like you were sent from heaven itself. She cried, I won, I won, I won, I won, I won, I won,
yes.
I won. This is the victory that overcomes the world. Jesus is our champion, praise God. He'll do it. He'll do it.
You are not disqualified.
Yeah.
No matter where you've been, you've not been disqualified. If God took me and all the mess, all the stuff that I've been through, and I have someone that loves me, that treats me like God wants me to be treated, I'm not special. I'm not anything. God didn't look at me and say, okay, I'll do it for her. God wants to do it for you too. Don't sell
Receive
yourself
His
short.
grace.
Yes.
Receive His grace.
I said, I'm not going to have a good marriage. Before I got married, I said, I think even before I got born again, I didn't even realize that any of this was possible. I'm going to have somebody, that's going to fool around on me and cheat on me, and I'm going to have somebody that's going to treat me this way or that way, because I didn't believe and even know how good God was. And when I realized that I don't have to be subject to that, I am grateful. And God can do it for you. You are not disqualified. You are 100% a sexual being. Stand up. Take hold of that. Receive it. Be it. And if you're not married, just continue to walk that path out until God brings someone in your life. Maybe you don't desire to be married. Then for the rest of your days, just walk it out. But you are a sexual being. And you are beautiful. You are worthy to be loved. And you just receive all of it.
Listen, I know so many people talking about these girls are overweight and they're not this and not that. Girl, listen to me. If you were my wife, if you were Connie, I would treat you like you couldn't speak. I would love you and kiss you from head to toe, love you slow, fast, whatever you need, serve you. I mean, are you kidding me because of your weight? Because you had kids, and these men have the audacity to shame God's beautiful women, and the audacity to fail to pay the debt of honor of what it means to partner with God and bringing life into this world. Are you serious? I can't even spell stupid like that. You've got to start seeing these women as the gifts they are. My wife has been used and abused, and man, I can't even see it. She's golden, virgin, pure. Man, I treat her and love her. So, Mike, you're so nice. It's not nice. It's because you're the top. I got the best out of the 1973 class. They don't make another model top. I got the #1 draft pick. I can't believe some other guy was stupid enough to let you walk out of his life. I can't believe I won. I feel like a sweepstakes winner. Bob Marley says I'm a sweepstakes winner every day of my life. Are you kidding? To be married to this? Are you kidding me? That's our connection. And out of that comes everything you thought. And the sex we have is better than TV, better than movies, better than porn. I never seen nothing like it. I never heard of nothing like it. I didn't know, I've never seen anything this beautiful. Every day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, man. I mean, every day. God is that good. It's
Yes.
a gift. For those of you that are married, for those of you single, we speak peace on all of you.
Yes.
Great Married Life, people say, is the website. I saw Pastor Price. You can, Josh or somebody type our address. People want to reach out to us. How do they get a hold of us? Greatmarriedlife.com.
Yeah.
People that want to sow, whatever they can sow to that address, or PayPal. I don't know. We've never taken up an offering order before, but I've seen like 10. Yeah, if you want to sell whatever. What is it? PayPal.
I thought it was PayPal me.
PayPal.me.
PayPal. Connie M. Smith is
PayPal.me/Connie M. Smith. So you do whatever. PayPal.me/Connie M. Smith.
Yeah. And as we're wrapping up, let me do this.
This is wrapped up. Go ahead.
Okay.
Do it.
We'll be done.
Facebook's going to kick us off here.
Here's the thing.
And they got the, I think they have the, Christian puts the P.O. box up, or the, so people can get our sweet 230. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So there's always jokes and everything, and it's always where the guy is, the sexual being, and the, woman, is the one receiving that. But it's so interesting because I saw this comic, and I just thought it was so great, because I think as women, this is how we should be. I'm free, and this is how I am. And I remember, and let me say this, I remember I would be doing dishes in the kitchen, and Mike would come up and start rubbing on me, and maybe rubbing on my backside and everything, and I'd say, okay, when I get her, and now it's like, no, come on over here, baby. So I saw this comic, and I thought it was great. It's probably going to be backwards, but I'm going to do this. It says...
Okay,
thank you.
I'll let you read it. Go ahead.
After dinner, Trudy remembered to turn on the dishwasher. So it's her husband doing dishes there, and she comes over, and you can see what she's doing to him. I think it's awesome. It says, after dinner, Trudy remembered to turn on the dishwasher. Isn't that awesome? That's how it should be, ladies. We should be enjoying this. I walk up on Mike, and I say, I'm sorry, I have to put my hands on you. It's because it's what I need.
She's going to turn on the dishwasher. Everything about it's good. Guys, listen, you're a sexual being too.
Yes.
I don't know how you're shaped. I don't know how you're built. Maybe you got a gut. You're a 100% sexual being. Maybe you got a big 8-incher. I don't know. You're a 100% sexual being. Maybe you got 3 or 4-incher. You're a 100% sexual being. I bet it gets hard. And I bet when it gets happy, it throws up like it's rode the roller coaster too much. Say, yeah, but I always feel like, and she had to, listen, I don't care what she had before, who she had before. God made you, and you have a right to enjoy. If you would shake all that off, men have trouble getting aroused sometimes more than women because of all the issues in the soul. Men have issues for 2 reasons. Number 1, physiological. Number 2, psychological. The doctor, if you go see him, he's going to take a little piece of paper, tape it around your penis at night, and he's going to say, put it on there. If you wake up in the morning and the paper's broken, you have a psychological issue. Why? Because the blood is flowing. If you put that around your penis and it gets hard in the middle of the night, these nocturnal erections, the paper will break. Oh, your guy's getting hard. Then why can't I enjoy my wife? You guys got to talk until all that crap is pushed away from your soul. And God wants you to do it. You should be enjoying this. You should be enjoying this. I had a dear friend of mine in his 60s. He was pastor of a church. He said, Mike, all I know is I'm 63 years old and Mom and I are still doing 2-a-days. He said, I was doing fine laying down and she came out wearing just my undershirt. We had to do it again. Don't disqualify yourself. Brother Hagin said in his 80s, or almost his 80s, he said, sex with Aretha is better now than it ever was. I believe God can do it with you. Hey, Abraham still had desire. Sarah still had desire. You can have it too. We've talked too long.
I was going to say, we were going to try and go for an hour. We're just under 2. We've got to get off. We love you, love you, love you. Thank you for joining us. I think we're going to try and repost maybe if they...
Yeah, if they let us repost it, we will.
If they let us repost it, we'll repost it, share it. Just our whole reason is not for anything with us, but to God's glory. People get free and delivered.
Love you all. Be blessed. Be at peace. We declare peace, and Satan, you'll not harass God's people.
Yes. And for all you married couples, go have some fun.
Yeah, go do it. Love you. Bye.